So my name is Tracy Defoe, and I'm an adult educator who specializes in learning at work. And I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia. Really? Yeah, woohoo! That's my union leader. I'm really happy to be here today. She's my rep. That's cool. And she's supporting me, so thank you, thank you. I'm really happy to be here today to talk about learning because it is my passion too. I'm a evangelical lifelong learner, and I make my my living by helping people learn. How did I get started in that? I was thinking today about myself as a little kid. I was that skinny little girl, first one at the door at grade 1, always eager, always excited, always trying to help other people with their work. So no surprise to anybody that I grew up to be an instructor. And as a young adult, I was very fortunate to be kind of adopted and drafted into a learning community at university, and I became a teaching assistant and then an instructor. And the researchers, the instructors and teachers who mentored me and took me under their wing really encouraged me to try new things and to figure out which puzzles of learning were interesting to me, and then to follow those as far as I could. And it wasn't very long before the workplace became the puzzle that I was personally most interested in, because in the workplace I found the front lines of adult learning. That's what I always say. These are the front lines. This is where it gets real. And sometimes some of the highest risk learning for people, because it's their livelihood, or as we just heard from Pauline, it could be their health and safety too, could be other people. So in the workplace I found puzzles of learning that I found particularly compelling, possibly high risk and certainly high reward. And so for 30 years or so, I have been specializing in the ways people learn at work, how they learn, how they apply their foundational skills. We even used to call them basic skills. We call them workplace essential skills now. How they apply those things, how they teach each other. I am a big enthusiast of peer learning, doing some research, developing something that people can teach each other in the workplace. And then, of course, applying those things to the real problems that happen at work. The reason the workplace is an especially rich learning environment is it's full of problems, right? I've never been to a workplace that couldn't tell you all of the problems that they had. And so for me, in my work, I am excited and involved a lot in problems that come from tech change, which some of you will know a lot about, change in regulations, which can change the way people work, change, of course, in the market or in customer demand, and changes in communication, changes in the way people are going to problem solve together. And what have I learned from that? Well, I think one of the things I've learned over the years is to become a very deliberate listener. I'm somebody who tries always to listen to every single side of the story and then to observe what I actually see going on myself. I think I've also become somebody who's applied all of her puzzling abilities to figuring out what's going on and to helping people help each other overcome the barriers to learning. And all of those things give me a really great feeling. And I only have like a few minutes for this talk, so I'm going to pick one story to tell you about a learner. And this is your classic Canadian, older middle-aged gentleman who works in a very high, heavy industry, I think we could call that, so that I don't name him. A heavy industry, and I was there to help puzzle out, to tease out the math and the other kinds of group skills that was involved in a big tech change in his workplace. And you know, once we're in the workplace doing those kinds of analysis and training together, everybody knows there's a teacher at the workplace. And so this guy kept coming back to the place where I had my little desk, and he would stand in the door. He never came in the room. He would stand in the door and ask me some question, and then he'd go away, and 3 days later, stand in the door and ask me, you know, what time will you be back on Thursday? And things like that. And I knew he had something else he wanted to talk to me about. And finally, he told me that he wanted to ask me about getting his high school equivalency. And not because of the changes he saw in his workplace, but because of his family. He had a daughter in grade 11 who wanted to drop out of math. and maybe drop out of high school because she was really struggling in school. And he said, when I said to her, don't do that, she said, well, you did. And he didn't feel he had a parental leg to stand on. And so one of the happy times of that beginning of my career was I invited the daughter in to the workplace. And I got her a tutor, and we got him a tutor, and they both completed their high school together. So over her grade 11 and 12 year, he picked up and finished his high school diploma as well. But the moment for me that was, the moment where I got all goosebumpy and cried in public was at the Word on the Street. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Word on the Street festival, but it's a book festival across Canada in the early fall. I was at the Word on the Street in Vancouver at a poetry slam, which is where poets recite in kind of a hip-hop way usually and perform their poems. And I looked over, and here's this guy and his daughter. And I went running up to them and said, so glad to see you. What made you come down today? And he said, we heard on the radio that there was a festival today downtown for readers and writers. And I looked at my daughter and said, that's us. Let's go. So that's the kind of great feeling that I think I can get from my job. And I know that all of you work somewhere. And even though, as Pauline said, people are good at hiding it, lots of people are hoping that they'll run into that person who knows how to overcome that next barrier in their career or the next part of the puzzle of their life. And probably most of the people in this room are in a really good position to take a moment and listen and observe and maybe reach out their hand and help somebody achieve the next place they can go in their family or in their job. Thank you.